We're now bringing London here with Mr. Pablo Escondrillas, Managing Director, Head of EMEA Power Investment Banking, Citi. Pablo and I had an interview back in July on the 12th, exactly when Hydroelectrica started the transactions on the Bucharest Stock Exchange. Pablo, if you can hear us, good morning.
I can hear you well. I hope you can hear me. Good morning. Good to see you. Thanks for the invitation.
It's good to see you again, Pablo. Let's see, we started from 110 RON for Hydroelectrica. We are now at around 120. How do you see this dynamic, let's see it so far?
Well, I would say we started from 104 because that's the price at which the IPO was sold to international investors, and I guess a bit of a discount for the local retail. No, so from 104 to 120, we're almost 15% up, probably a full 15% up for the retail investors. So I think it's been a good story. I think it's probably what everybody wanted. No, both certainly the banks working on this IPO, but also the sellers and the buyers. No, you want an IPO to do well and but not to do so well that it seems that we sold the shares too cheaply. No, so I think the initial movement, 104 to 110, the 110 to 115, that was the initial range. That was a reasonable range. I think the recent increase also has to do with the fact that maybe European inflation fears have reduced a little bit. Perception that maybe interest rates have peaked and are going down, and therefore the dividends of Hydroelectrica are more attractive on this basis. So a very good start, and as Jürgen said before, I think the Hydroelectrica from this important corner of Europe, I think has been an important part of making the IPO market in Europe restart. Now, hopefully there will be more in Romania in the future, but certainly in the short term, it has made other IPOs in Europe easier. And that's not only the IPO; it's the fact that there was an IPO that had a good aftermarket performance. No, if Hydroelectrica, after being such a large IPO, had been today trading in the 90s, then that would have made IPOs in Europe more difficult in the last months of 2023.
Pablo, I address the same question to you. How can we grow the liquidity in the market? How can we do?
Yeah, well, I think I don't think it was mentioned before, but there's clearly a very important catalyst that is hopefully coming in 2024, and that I hope will be covered in more detail by experts in liquidity and indexes. No, and this is the move from frontier market to emerging market. No, the way MSCI tracks markets, they track markets by different levels of liquidity, and one of the problems in Romania, given the limited amount of listed companies, was that Romania is tiered together with frontier markets. And there are a lot of investors who have an issue with investing in frontier markets. Now, so once here, hopefully, Romania, thanks to Hydroelectrica, thanks to also some other companies getting a bit more attention, if during 2024 MSCI makes the decision to upgrade Romania to emerging market, that will actually be in itself a boost to liquidity. It will make Romania more of an attractive market for many investors, and will make many investors be able to invest in Romania. So that in itself, without actually necessarily changing anything, we see Romania as hitting many of the criteria that MSCI requires for a move to emerging markets. No, so it's things that need to be sustained for the next months, but we would say we are optimistic that this can happen in 2024, and this will make generally access to capital and investors focus in Romania bigger. No, so that would be one important aspect, which and again, when I think of Romania, I obviously think of it as a European country that is maybe emerging, maybe developed, but certainly not frontier. No? So that's important. I think the other thing we need is for companies to think of the capital markets as an attractive destination. it's very good that in Romania there are a number of companies that are majority owned by the state that are in the market, and I do think it's important for state-owned companies to be in the market. It improves transparency and probably improves the way they are managed. But I think Romania in this new phase will particularly benefit if there are new private companies that also see the capital markets as a way to gain capital, to gain recognition, and to eventually also be seen as more attractive counterparts, more attractive employers. No? So I think more private companies is important, and also maybe in comparison to Hidroelectrica is clearly a generator, energy company with a big dividend. I think Romania should also attract growth companies. No? Whether we're talking about technology, whether we're talking about renewables or other sectors, the market likes investing in dividend companies, but in different types of markets, like hopefully the ones we will have in 2024 and 2025, the market will look for growth stories, companies that are investing a lot and that are not prioritizing so much dividends in the short term because they're prioritizing investing for growth. No? So I think that's the combination of private companies, growth companies, and but it's probably what we will need to look for. Also, as I've also said in the past, remember this is not about doing very big IPOs. No, Hidroelectrica was an enormous IPO for any European country, 2 billion euros, but an IPO of 500 million euros is a good start. The important step is getting to the market. Once you get to the market, then you will be able to, then you have your companies listed, you can access the market, you can sell more shares if you want to, you can ask for an increase in capital, primary shares if you need to grow. But once you're already listed, that second step is relatively easy. The first step of actually getting to the market is an enormous effort. You require, as we've seen, lawyers, accountants, banks of so many sorts. It's a 6-12 month process. That first step is important. It can be a smaller step, but it really gives so much optionality to companies for the remaining of their life.
And Pablo, my last question, if you can in 3 short ideas, how do you see Bucharest Stock Exchange compared with Warsaw Stock Exchange?
Not my area of expertise. I must say they comparing local indexes, so I don't think I'll have a very good response. I think in the past clearly Warsaw had an aspiration to be the clear regional hub for IPOs, a bit like London has been historically. I think what we have seen with Hidroelectrica, and I think it was one of the positive surprises of the process, is that it's not so much about the listing. No, I think both are European listings with similar rules. I think what's important is that the story is interesting enough, and the rest will follow. No, and in reality, even when there's a non-Polish company like a Romanian that would have had a Romanian and Warsaw listing or Romania and London listing, that initial secondary listing is most often only a way to make the IPO moment easier. As once the company is listed, liquidity will concentrate in one listing, no? Because the market, you don't want to have liquidity in 2 markets. Liquidity often will concentrate on one market, and that tends to be the local market. No? So I think we have certainly proved with this IPO that the Bucharest Stock Exchange is more than good enough to attract the big IPOs and good liquidity. The one comment I would make so that we think broader and not just Warsaw versus Bucharest or Budapest, etc., is that there has been an important trend in 2023, is that many companies, increasingly European companies, are not thinking which country in Europe, but they're thinking actually Europe versus the US. No? And so we're seeing that the US, which continues to be a more dynamic market, is attracting companies, European companies, to do IPO or to relocate into the US. No? So and I think they're doing that because they think it's easier to attract capital, because the multiples of companies that are listed in the US are better. No? So I think it's important to also remember that we have that potential competition. It started to be more of a topic at the time of the SPACs 2 years ago. You know, these cash boxes that were merging with private companies to create listed companies. But so I would focus less on regional competition and think of companies with strong links to Romania, strong local roots, make them the first entry into the market as straightforward as possible, because as we've seen with Urmăriţi, this has many positive ramifications for the economy.
Thank you very much, Pablo. It was great seeing you again.
Știu ce spun.
Nu ne primiți în Schengen, în judecată cu voi. Noi, Nemo, nu am pus nicio presiune.
Uite,
am fost revoltată pe subiectul ăsta mereu.
cu presiune.
Știu ce te interesează.
După ce dronele au dat alarma în România, acum s-au mutat în Bulgaria. Până și ele preferă litoralul bulgăresc. Au fost la noi, s-au convins de condiții.
Știu cum să te fac curios.
Are inteligența artificială conștiință? Să empatizeze și să aibă conștiință exact ca noi? Nu.
Știu cum să te emoționezi.
Simona Halep a fost suspendată 4 ani pentru dopaj.
Clar că este finalul carierei.
Nu cred că discuția despre venirea de tenis este importantă cât despre imaginea ei.
Știu să conving.
OMS vrea să afle cum a luat naștere COVID-ul.
Ar trebui să aflăm odată cum facem să scăpăm naibii de el. Șanse ca România să mai cumpere aceste variante noi de vaccin sunt spre zero.
Știu să câștig.
Mamă, ce pe val ai fost!
Ne întâlnim în tie-break.
Știu, deci știi.